Today I sat down with a project that's been on my mind from the very get-go. One of the very first YouTube videos that I ever shot that actually had any form of success was on the Galactic Gecko Space Garage. And I maintain a holder of the Galactic Gecko Space Garage because I maintain belief that the project is actually doing something really special. Now, that being said, the marketplace has not been very nice to Solana NFTs or the geckos in general in recent history, and I wanted to kind of address the elephant in the room and then talk about what are the special things that the geckos have going on. We absolutely did all of that. It was a fascinating conversation as we learned some of the more exciting things that the geckos have in plan and in store for us coming up next year. So, without further ado, wait a minute, nothing in this video should be construed as financial advice because we are not financial advisors. We're just friends talking about things that we're really passionate about. That's Solana NFTs and the Galactic Gecko Space Garage. So you should always do your own research and do what's best for you in your situation. Now, with that being said, let's find out what's been going on with the geckos over the last couple months, and very importantly, where are they going in the next few months? Let's go. So I am sitting down with Draper from the Galactic Gecko Space Garage, and this is a big moment for me. This is a big deal because, in a way, you guys are the ones that put me on the map. It was like my first video or my first real video where I dug into the nitty gritty. This was, I think y'all minted. Was it on a Wednesday?
It was the 22nd of September. I don't remember what day of the week it was, but Wednesday sounds right.
I'm like 90% positive it was it was a Wednesday. You went it on a Wednesday at like 5 p.m. my time because I think the next day was something like Metabase, and then the next day after that was Red Panda Squad, and we were like, Geckos just stole all the momentum for the entire week out of this. And then Monday, I made my video about why I thought Geckos were the next major blue chip on Solana.
Yeah.
And from there, that was where my YouTube channel kind of started to do what it does. So this is a big deal for me because I've got a lot of personal connection and attachment to your project, and I just want to say I'm very grateful that you're taking the time to sit down with me.
No, it's a huge deal for us too, because we remember it was very early on. Again, just a few days after mint when we saw your project, and to us, we knew we were going to do well. But your video sort of solidified that, hey, this is something real. This is something big. People are paying attention to us. So yeah, I'm honored that an early supporter such as yourself, someone who has a podcast and was an early supporter, is having us on today. So it's awesome. Thanks for asking us.
It is really cool, and I'm glad we finally were able to circle it up. So since then, though, a lot has happened. A lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff, and not just for the geckos. But the entire market right now is just doing this inexplicably weird, bad stuff.
Yes.
Tell me what has been your journey, because you had this huge ramp up leading up to the airdrop, then the airdrop happened, and then the entire market seems to kind of implode. What are your thoughts? What are you seeing on your side?
Yeah, so it's been interesting. I think a big part of it is that there are just so many new projects coming out every single day, and so around when we launched, there were more and more projects coming out, but most of them were not that great. I wouldn't have minted them myself, but we're seeing more and more quality projects come into the ecosystem, and people like grabbing onto the new hot thing, and so we see a lot of that attention, sort of roll over there, and that's okay. For us, we like, our partners to succeed and the Solana ecosystem to succeed. So it's fine. But we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We can talk about some of those plans later, but yeah, it has been a long, long journey for us. I know it's only been it's been less than 3 months. We're not even at Christmas time yet. So, but it seems like an eternity, and I don't know if you want to walk through our timeline because we haven't.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I mean, for listeners who are maybe join the project later, or this video is going to stay on my YouTube channel for eternity. So maybe we could circle back to this in a year and remember the good old days.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, launching on the 22nd, we on pretty much on day one after mint, we started getting into the lore, and for us, the lore is telling you what's coming next in what we're building, right? So, we alluded, hey, you collect one gecko of each faction. There are four different factions. People love that concept. And I think that, in part, to all the hype that we had behind our project, that really maybe pushed the floor price higher than maybe it should have been, so early on, just because there was a ton of buying pressure. Uh, but and then once people realized, hey, maybe we don't need all of these geckos, price sort of unwound. So I think things go a lot higher than they should, and then they go a lot lower than they should. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's true in crypto in general,
Mm-hmm.
just because of emotions. So yeah, I mean that was sort of what happened, with that. But in order to excuse me, sorry. Once you collected the four factions, you got an Enigma crystal, which is still, part of our story today, and then the Concordians, which are these little droids. And I believe, you tweeted about yours back in the day, when you got yours. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that was the first major storyline. There is, the geckos. They're going to go find the lost faction in this locked garage, but instead they found the Concordians, and it's been pretty exciting to see the community reaction behind those. It's been real fun for us to write the lore, get the community going, um, and yeah, they're going to be involved in this next segment going forward.
And it's so, I mean, just a little bit for the people who are listening to who may not be too familiar with it, because you had to either hold four geckos to have an 100% chance at a crystal,
Right.
which then gave you a chance at the Concordian, or if you didn't, it was like a diminishing return, right? There was like a 7% chance of getting a crystal if you only held one gecko, if I recall.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
That's
so,
correct.
so there is actually a very limited supply of crystals and Concordians relative to the roughly 10K geckos.
Correct. Yes. So,
Okay.
yeah. Right now, there's 2,500 crystals, give or take,
Mm-hmm.
and about the same number of Concordians. So
Yep.
yeah, you're looking total gecko universe or geckoverse supply of about 15,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And I mean, I'm looking at the Solana floor statistics. If you guys are watching and you want to go check out some statistics, Solana floor, they are not sponsoring this video or anything. There's no paid affiliations here.
We love them.
But
Though. We love them.
exactly, but they're a great way to get some analytics and research. Your project still shows healthy.
Okay.
Like you've still got, a good number of unique holders, a low percentages of listings as far as like healthy listing percentages go. So, just to kind of like abate some of the FUD that goes on with really all of the projects they're facing today, that was the first thing that kind of goes through my mind. Is you hear some chatter, you see people in Discord who are new to trading, new to NFTs. They all want to get rich quick. They haven't really figured out the investing thing, the investing side of it, and actually being a part of the journey. And they see the market go down, and they have this huge knee-jerk gut reaction, right?
Yes.
And the thing about it is you've got to take a step back and look at how is this doing relative to other projects, and you find out really quickly that the other name brand projects are going through the exact same trends right now.
Yeah.
So
I think we're actually. Someone mentioned this the other day. I saw it on a tweet. We're actually at an all-time high unique holders, which I
yeah.
it's sort of it surprises me, but it doesn't. We see,
Mm-hmm.
we have a bot that alerts us when somebody new verifies, and that's been firing at all-time high
Mm-hmm.
at an all-time high rate. So it's really exciting, even though prices down a little bit today. We're not too focused on that. We want to see new
Right.
people coming in, and yeah, like a lot of people treat the floor price as something like,
No.
oh, like they're going to sell in a week. And,
Exactly.
and to us, it's no, like we've made it very clear, even on day one in our Discord, like, hey, this is a long-term sustainable vision here. Stick around, hopefully you're able to get a competitive entry, but if not, that's okay. Just stick with us, and come along.
That is fascinating, and I should have actually put that two and two together. Is that you are at an all-time high of unique holders, and that's really, in my opinion, out of all of the metrics that exist when you weigh an NFT, to me that's the most important one.
I agree.
And that's just because these are the people who waited for their chance, right? The floor got up to like 40 or something. The neon floors were like 100 something.
Yes.
But the floor doesn't matter because it's going to come back down at some point, and then more people who just wanted to be a part of the vibe get to.
Too exactly.
And that vibe grows. That vibe grows and it grows and it grows and it just builds over time. And then you remember, oh wait, we're only in month 3, barely,
Yeah.
in the first place. What is it? What if this trend of unique holders continues like it is for the next year?
That's what we want to see, right? And that's when, the 10,000 is too many number. That FUD starts to be diminished, right?
Oh yeah.
Because if we're at what 3,400 unique holders, we double that. How many people can own geckos? There's a ceiling there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a real interesting conversation. But
Yep.
we're seeing a good sign. We're seeing that something that I really like to see is a lot of people with Ethereum profile pictures, especially Bored Apes and Cool Cats. We're seeing a lot of those guys join our Discord, and that's
Yeah.
just been, it's flattering to see. As much as we don't want to put Ethereum NFTs on a pedestal or anything, I think it still says something when those guys are joining your community, right?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, and this is the thing that I've been trying to preach. This is why I make the YouTube videos that I make, is that if all we do is just trade NFTs to each other,
Yeah.
then we're gonna run out of money. Like we have to attract new capital, whether that's people who are on a different blockchain or people who are new to blockchain entirely.
Yes.
We gotta bring them in. And the geckos are a project that entices people to do that. And this is the core question that I brought you here today for. Why? What is it about the geckos that could attract my friends in?
That's a great question. It's because when you're joining the geckos, you're not just getting a profile picture, and I don't even you're getting a community too. Like I don't want to say you're not just getting a profile picture in a community, but you're really getting this experience. It's an entertainment experience, and that's really where like my personal thesis behind NFTs is the entertainment industry.
Mm-hmm,
So like
mm-hmm.
yes, you're getting this amazing gecko art. You're getting a Concordian and crystal if you've been around for a while, but you're also getting this story and the art that pairs along with it. That frankly, I think we were a pioneer in that. I don't know if you paid close attention to other projects both on Ethereum and Solana after we launched, but it almost seems like lore is it's not it's not a requirement for new projects to have, but many more projects are pairing lore with their profile picture projects now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it, and just the overall journey that you're coming on with, and we're building a lot of cool things around that lore, which you'll see coming soon. But yeah, you're joining the geckos because we're sort of this next evolution or revolution in the NFT space.
Mm-hmm.
I think people saw that early on. We did sort of sidestep to some in real life stuff. We wanted to make connections, to get our name out there in the physical space, and I think we did a great job doing that.
Yep.
I do think that maybe some of the digital community suffered a little bit because of course not everybody can make trips to Lisbon, to Miami, and maybe there's some regret there, but at the same time we made some amazing connections that are going to help us take the next steps, to add to the why Galactic Geckos. And
Well, yeah, no, I think you're right. I was super jealous of everybody that got to go to Portugal, and I was really impressed by the fact that you guys were able to mobilize a get together the way that you did, as quickly as you did. Again, anyone who follows me knows that if I look at metrics, the unique holders is the metric that I care about the most, and if I look at like the ethos or the theme of a project, the actual social get-togethers, the social club aspect, the physical get-togethers, to me are more important than anything else. And I keep looking back at like the Bay Sea event that they did, the yacht party, and all I could think about was just how jealous I was. and it's like that's what I want to see out of my NFT projects.
Sure.
And you guys, you made that first attempt, right? Yeah. I think that's a big deal that you did. Maybe there were some lessons learned out of it, but it is important because it's human nature. At the end of the day, like we want to have some form of physical human connection.
Yes.
Even if I'm a loner, I at least want to have a friend who's a loner so that we could be loners together. Like
that's a good counter. Yeah, that's a good point. Because I've heard, oh well, I'm just joining NFT community discords because I don't want to do the in real life stuff. But I think your answer to that is, well, you're going to want somebody like you to hang out with, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and you don't have to do the in real life stuff too, but it's not when you hang out with an NFT community, it's not like hanging out with your coworkers on a Friday just because that's what we're all doing. You know, we're just going to the bar after work, and you still kind of have to put on that face
Yes.
that's fake. You know what I mean? And that's a little different. What this to me is more like for the youngins who like me, or the old people like me who grew up playing MMOs. This is more like raid night on Wednesday when you get off work and you get to go put your headset on and then log into WoW or Star Wars or Lineage 2 or EverQuest or whatever it was that you played. And then you get to go raid with your online buddies, accomplishing some tasks together, kind of anonymous, breaking down that barrier where you can kind of be yourself a little more. That's what this is like to me.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And so we had in Lisbon, we rented out a restaurant and turned it more into, a party like scene. And we actually had about 120 unique geckos come to Lisbon, from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to, to meet somebody, I didn't know their first and last name, but they either introduced themselves by their Discord name or by their first name, and just being able to connect that person with the person who we saw in Discord, every day it was an amazing feeling. And I didn't know that I would get that, but yeah, you'll have to come out to one of our events sometime in the future.
I mean, I would love to once
Yep.
once my kids get to be an age where they can survive more than 5 seconds on their own, or COVID breaks down, because that's the other thing. Like, you guys, when you do these physical get-togethers, you're battling COVID now too.
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
all the travel restrictions and like,
It's tough right now.
it is tough. It's tough to be some form of a social club in general right now. So
Yes.
I can absolutely sympathize with that.
And we're probably going to take at least a few months off from that. We did, Breakpoint, we did Miami, had a great time, and a lot of good people, established a lot of connections that are going to help the geckos big time. But now it's time to really, buckle down and build out this next step.
So, I mean, now I got to ask the
Yeah.
next step. Where are we going? I saw an announcement today.
Yeah, so we're going to get the Gex on some rockets here. So we've been planning this for a while. We came up with this concept, a couple months, well, maybe about a month ago. But basically, what we want to do is build composite NFTs, meaning you take three separate NFTs. So in our case, they're rockets, the tail of a rocket, the body of a rocket, and the head of a rocket, and join those into one NFT. Yes, you'll have your gecko or any other Solana NFT project, pending, some conversation with those projects, but being able to take them and put those in the rocket as well. And sort of the big kicker here, and I don't know how clear it was in the announcement, we wanted to allude to it and not directly say this, but you're going to be able to use that rocket in a 3D rendered version with a 3D rendered gecko in a Geckoverse simulation, basically, in a Geckoverse experience.
What?
Yeah. Think Mario Kart, but Geckoverse. That's the big goal here.
Okay. Now I am thinking about it, and oh man. All right. Well, I call the blue shell. So okay.
What I like to in just conversations with the team, the best way I like to describe this is think Super Smash Brothers, right? Like, yes, you can play as Mario, but you can also play as Link from Zelda.
Yeah.
You can play all these different Nintendo story characters in one game. And that's what we're aiming to do here. Yes, it's going to be a Galactic Gecko branded themed game. However, we want to make it a Solana NFT ecosystem accessible, right? So if you have a Thugbird, you can get that Thugbird in and race against a gecko in the same race. So that's what we're going for. We're going to take it one step at a time and build out a simple iteration first, and then build on top of that. But we'd really like other NFT projects to be a part of the first iteration.
And to make sure I'm understanding clearly, a big part of playing this game is needing to have a rocket.
Correct.
But not necessarily needing to have a gecko. Is that right?
Well, you can have. So there'll be most likely be like a trial version where if you don't own these NFTs, you can get around and mess around with. But if you want the full experience and you want these races to be logged on the blockchain,
Uh-huh.
then you'll need to own specific NFTs. But yes, you won't necessarily have to own a gecko, but you'll most likely have to own a piece of the Geckoverse, whether it's a
Okay.
rocket or crystal or conch.
Yeah.
Details need to be fully ironed out. But this is general high level overview.
Yeah, and it sounds to me like you're I don't know. There weren't I don't recall seeing any timelines or anything like that. And I'm not going to put you on the spot to commit to something, but is there like a ballpark area?
So the rockets we're aiming to complete in the next 2 to 3 months,
Yeah.
and simultaneously we'll be in early stage planning and development of the game. One thing we don't want to do is we don't want to have something like Aurora or Star Atlas,
Yeah.
where there are these huge downloadable games that frankly we don't know when they're going to come out.
Right.
We want something fun, interactive, Web3, browser based. It's going to be ready relatively quickly, so that we can get our community and other communities involved, and then build on top of that. I think that's key here, is to get something fun. And might be simple at first, but we can always build on top of it later.
Yeah. This is phenomenal. I feel like I've got breaking news on my show right now, and
We
it's
hinted at it, but I don't think the community was too quick to pick up on it. If you look at the very last sentence, we alluded to it, and but of course all the focus was on the rockets and everything that goes along with those. But yeah, the rockets they're being introduced as a tool to the game, as a means to the game.
Yeah, no, I'll admit that I didn't make it to the last sentence because at some point around 2/3 of the way down, I just got too excited, and I was like, I got to go tweet about this.
Yeah, as you should. Yeah, but yeah, we're super excited about it. When we were in Lisbon, of course, all of the NFT talk, and it was centered around games, and we were already thinking about this, but it was sort of time. We were waiting for the right time to make this announcement, but we felt like, we're back from our in real life stuff. Like let's get this out there and keep going.
Do you feel that is a transition that NFTs, Solana, the marketplace is having in general? Like we see it, right? We see a lot of talk about gaming. We see a lot of talk about mega brands who are trying to launch NFTs. We see a lot of talk about these utility tokens. Like, what's your take on all of that?
I think there's a time and a place for all of it. So for us, for example, like a game really makes sense. These are geckos. They're racers. We said that from day one. We didn't announce any intention for a game on day one, and to be honest with you, when we first launched, we weren't really thinking about a game. We were just working on building the brand, and whatever comes after comes after. But for us in our project, it makes a lot of sense. So I think if you're a project, you need to just think about, well, what fits best for your project, and I'm going to respect whatever any project decides to do. So for example, Red Panda, with their animated series, I think that makes a lot of sense for them. Does a game or a metaverse make a lot of sense for them? I don't know, but I think they chose to go the right way.
Yeah, and that animated series looks really cool. The trailer that they dropped was like really high quality.
Oh yeah, it's going to be fun, and that's something that we're sort of considering doing as well, because of course our lore, our story. I think it would be an amazing Netflix series, for example. So there's a lot of stuff we can do now that we've built an amazing community and an amazing brand. The possibilities are endless.
That's a great point. Like, there are some brands that we have out there. The Geckos are absolutely one of them, that has this unique culture, this unique lore and story behind it that would translate insanely well into television or something that's streamed in general. Just because, people who are interested in lore but maybe don't want to read, they would rather watch and be entertained that way.
And I think that's an interesting point, because something that I've been thinking about is that, like, these big Web 2.0 companies, whether it's in the gaming world, like Epic, or like on the entertainment side, like Netflix, Hulu, if they want to get into this space, they really don't know how to build a crypto community, right? Like, we know how to build crypto communities, and we have those established communities. So it's like we have the brand, the story for the taking. We can help them with the community side, and they can help us, develop something substantial, like an animated series, like a game. So I think whether or not projects believe this, like, we have a lot of leverage when it comes to working with these companies, because And that's something that maybe is a controversial opinion, but I do think that Web 2.0 companies sort of are a necessary bridge to getting a lot of our culture mainstream.
Oh no, 100%. I'm with you 100%. I'm not going to pick on any particular brand and say they're the ones who are going to do it or not do it, but if a company has a billion follower reach,
Yeah.
if they're a $200 billion company and they want to put our stuff in front of these people,
Yes.
it probably
We
won't
do
end
it.
as bad as you think.
Yeah. Because that's
Like,
the end of the, that's what we want, right? We want the crypto culture to go mainstream. We want DJ Apes, we want Geckos, we want SMB to go mainstream. Yes, it would be nice if crypto as a whole and goes mainstream, but like, don't we really want our culture to be ingrained in mainstream culture? I
yeah.
think we do, and it's going to take Web 2.0 companies to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, there's going to be some ebb and flow. There's going to be some push and pull.
Yeah.
Both sides are going to have to bend a little bit, right? Some may bend more than others. But the point is like, this is why we keep saying we are so early. It's because eventually these megacorps are getting into it. Like, that's literally what the chat is right now. Pepsi and Meta going back and forth with this
Yeah.
kind of hilarious friends, and we're gonna make it, and then the official Solana Twitter account just roasts them.
I didn't see that. I didn't see
Oh no, man! Oh, I don't know who was in charge. I don't know who was in charge of the official Solana Twitter account yesterday. It almost makes you feel like it was Raj.
Yeah.
But yeah, they jumped in on the thread and just roasted them. It was hilarious. Anyways, we see this is happening. Like, it's definitely going to happen, and it's going to bring about a tremendous amount of capital influx into the world. And that's why we say we are so early, because then it's going to happen, and we're going to say we were so early.
Right.
And, but I think there's a very unique proposition that you just brought up, is that the geckos have already established a community, all-time high percentage of holders and growing. And they've already established a story with all of this exciting. Like, the lore is kind of exciting to me. It gives me a personal bond with the geckos that I hold. The augmented mouth that was, won through a race.
Yeah.
That's something like, oh, I kind of want that. Like, anyways, like, you've got all of this right here that's just sitting on a platter, and then there's Netflix or Hulu or Amazon. They're desperate for original content. Sounds to me like the only thing that's missing is a script, a studio, and a cast.
Right. Yeah, and that would be an amazing thing for us. But there's a lot of things on our plate. If they came to us knocking, of course we'd work with them. But I think it would be really cool. And I was talking to a team member about this. So we have this big push in GameFi, right? With all of the different tokenomics and play to earn. What can be developed or engineered, as sort of the GameFi version of Netflix, or is that even feasible? We couldn't come up with anything, but I don't know if you've put any thought into that, or if Red Panda, for example, has any economic side to their animated series. Because at the end of the day, you want your community to your holders, right, to benefit from anything like this. Like, yes, the exposure is nice, but is there any direct economic advantage to doing something like this, or like have some sort of mechanism, if that makes sense, like play to earn, but for Netflix shows?
Yeah. No, that is an interesting idea. Or, I don't know, maybe the number of, man, you start thinking about like how the Brave web browser can pop up an ad and then it earns you the basic attention token.
It would probably be via advertising, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but nonetheless, it earns you a native token that does carry value. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah. We were just throwing that back and forth because there's no doubt in my mind that like Netflix, Hulu, they're thinking about NFTs, right? And it's what's going to be the first brand to get picked up, or if they're not already working on their own, and I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
So
they gotta be. Like, this is an undeniable phenomenon that's happening right now, and the amount of capital that's flown into NFTs and the kind of the cultures that come along with it. Like, everybody, all of these major corporations, they have somebody somewhere in that corporation that's really glued into it and has pushed it up the chain and said, hey, we should look at this.
Oh yeah, definitely. it,
It's happened.
it's happening right now as we're talking, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know. And that's why like this is yet another reason why I always remind people like looks ugly out there today, right? Sold dipped to $170. 1 year from now, we'll probably laugh a lot about that. That's why we got to zoom out a lot because Sol at $170 is still 100x over the year.
oh yeah. Yeah, I remember in November, uh, yeah, buying some at $1.40 and weak handing it because it started going back down again. And only I just held. Yeah, it's crazy
Yeah.
to think that was barely a year ago.
Yeah, no, I mean, and the chart, there it is. It was
Yeah,
like January 1, it was $1.70.
yeah, insane.
And I, Raj tweeted like, "What is this, a dip for ants?" And I'm like, "Well, he's right.
Yeah,
Like, it feels rough. It's a gut punch, especially if you're in NFTs and you're watching the NFTs slip with it and everything like that. But again, like, there's a difference between a flipper and a novice trader versus an investor,
hmm,
and all you have to do is just remain focused on the big picture and kind of believe in where Solana is going. Then if you're buying NFTs, you just got to believe that you invested in a competent team as well as a community who is legitimately happy to be there.
sure. And that's something for us that we see is that our community in our Discord is more active and positive than any other NFT Discord that I've been in on the Solana side. It's been a while since I've been in my Ethereum NFT communities, but for us, it's just and everybody says that too.
Mhm.
That's in our Discord is that this is the Discord they want to be in. They love the vibes, they love the activity. Really, 24/7. It's hard to find a span like where 2 minutes elapses without some interaction. So, excuse me. Yeah, and we could talk about the reasons why that is.
Yeah,
Uh,
let's do it. I mean, that's why we're here.
yeah, I think a lot of our holders, of course, we love everybody new coming in, but a lot of our holders are there since mint. They really believed in the team and the vision, from day one, and they're here because they continue to believe in that vision. And yeah, but beyond that, it's very hard to pinpoint exactly why they choose us rather than the core community that's been there are just so awesome.
Hmm.
And then they're sort of the nucleus, right? And then everybody sort of builds around that, and the energy just stays there.
Hmm.
And that's my best explanation for it. I don't know if you've spent too much time there, but
Yeah, well, I lurk. I'm a
okay,
lurker. I don't like Discord in general just
got
because
it.
I'm old, but but I have it open all the time and I lurk.
Yeah,
And I can absolutely testify to the things that you just said that like it is a very positive place to be. Luckily, there's very little price talk, very little floor talk, because legitimately, that's not what I'm interested. Like that's not what people are interested. They're interested in each other,
mm,
and that is the cool part. Is just talking about NFTs, talking about Solana, talking about the people who want to share real life experiences, what's going on in their life.
yeah. I think there's a
That's
lot of that, the latter too, there in our Discord. Yeah, I think there's a lot of that. And now that I'm thinking about it more and more, it is because that core community, they're just so open, they're just so committed, and they stick around, and that's what makes most sense to me anyways. That's really sticking out as the reason why our community is so strong.
hmm
It's just those core members who have been there forever, are amazing, and we'll have to give them more thanks more often.
yeah.
Yeah,
So talking about some other things, we talked a lot about the exciting stuff with the ships. That's so cool. And I'm really fired up. You kind of teased some of the attributes too.
yeah,
It looked like one of the noses of the ship was actually like the augmented
it is,
mouthpiece,
it is, yes.
which is so cool. And it was clever to do that too. So let's talk about some other things that may or may not be coming up, like merchandise.
Yeah, so I'm actually in a room right now with boxes and boxes of merchandise. So,
Ooh.
so yeah, we've shown some of it off in our Discord. Sort of got a mixed reaction, but once you see it in person, so we brought it to Breakpoint. We gave a ton of it out. Anatoly and Raj both got Gecko shirts, 100% in their possession.
Hmm.
Um, so you can own a Gecko shirt just like Anatoly does. We're going to get them out very, very soon. We're going to make a claimable method for them. It's just that they've been in my possession, and I've been literally living out of hotels for the last month. Um, so, very eager to get that stuff out. But yeah, we have t-shirts and hoodies ready to go.
That's really, really cool. And now you actually, like, we're talking about all of this stuff, and I've just been daydreaming this whole time. You mentioned like 3D renderings of the ship and of the geckos, and then I started thinking, man, there's a lot of stuff you could do with 3D renderings, not just a game.
Yeah, and if you look at like the most recent partnership with Bored Apes and Adidas, have you seen that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so the ape was 3D rendered, and it sort of has to be in that medium, right? So like you could do things like that. Of course, you could do a game. There's the animated series, but like if you have the right file type, you can use it for anything pretty much, and it's the core of what's coming next for us. Again, it's sort of the evolution of the geckos. But yeah,
And
I think it was right for our art to be 2D the way it is.
yeah.
I think that's just what it was, and people loved it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I guess, and I'm thinking like if projects. So how would that work? This is getting way down a rabbit hole right now. But if a project like the apes came along and said like, hey, we want to be in the game, do they just hand you a 3D rendering or something? Or
Well, so there's a couple of different ways to do that. There's number one is you just take the NFT that they have now, and instead of like doing a 3D render, you just take the NFT and you just have like a thumbnail in the corner, and you just sort of represent that onto the ship in a way. Or we could create our own. They could create theirs and give it to us. But it would really be working with them and deciding what the best way to go forward is.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that was asking out of ignorance because I simply don't know how that works. I
Yeah,
know.
no, it's a good question because we've thought about it a lot. But yeah, there's a few different ways to go there, and it's out of respect, for the other projects. Like yeah, some of them the copyright and licensing laws are different, and we might be open, or they might be open to doing it without asking. But of course, we're going to reach out and make sure that they want to be a part of this before we go ahead and implement anything.
Right. Yeah, that's a big thing too.
It is, and some projects will be open to it, some projects won't. But of course, I think it would be an amazing thing just to sort of unite the Solana, blue chip NFTs by doing something like this.
It would be very metaversal.
Exactly.
To see all of the different NFT projects united under like one common game with
yes,
a competitive but fun goal.
It's like Super Smash Brothers, really, in essence.
Yeah, and I could just see it right now, like somebody tweets something, and then an SMB comes along and like trolls them, and they say, "Let's just settle this on the track,"
Yeah.
Be here at 5 p.m.
We're super excited about it, man. We can't wait to get something out there.
Oh, that's really cool, man. You got me daydreaming now. That's gonna be exciting.
Yes.
Okay. So, Google's going to kick us out in like 10 minutes because that's what Google does.
Sure.
It pops up and says like you're running out of time. So, kind of thinking about like how we're going to wrap this up, and you've got this game that's potentially coming. There's a big promise, a lot of work to do. Timing for it is all up in the air.
Yeah.
But what else? What else are you thinking about? Not just the geckos, but Solana NFTs in general. Where are we going? Paint me a picture 12 months from now about what Solana NFTs and the geckos will look like.
Well, let me take a step back and just say Solana, period, before NFTs. I think as we're seeing every day more signs of crypto going mainstream, right? And I think if a user is to use Solana, somebody new is to use Solana for the first time, there is zero reason for them to use any other blockchain, in my opinion. The quick finality, the low transaction cost, it just doesn't make sense to go use Ethereum. And I own Ethereum. There's nothing wrong with it, or maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But still, for somebody new coming in to use Solana, I don't see why they would ever go use Ethereum. So I think we're going to see a lot more mainstream adoption of Solana. I think it's going to be very surprising for people to see that happen. And therefore, that's what I'm hoping that happens in regard to NFTs, is that's going to be the kickstart of more of the expansion of the Solana NFT ecosystem, because we're not really seeing. I mean, the geckos are seeing a little bit of the Ethereum users come over, like I mentioned prior, but I don't think we're seeing the capital inflow from Ethereum over to Solana NFTs like maybe we had hoped, especially at the peak of those high gas prices. If anything, we've sort of seen a downswing, and ETH NFTs sort of remaining stagnant, and the blue chips going up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my hope, is as retail adoption continues, it'll be on Solana, and therefore Solana NFTs and the geckos will keep growing, and the unique holders will keep growing. That's my thesis, anyways.
I think that's a pretty fair thesis. I mean, I'm kind of right there with you that I used all the chains to do DeFi, and it took me 30 seconds of using Solana to go, oh, that's better.
Yes.
Like, and it's not a maxi standpoint. I mean, I guess somebody on the outside would probably say it is a maxi standpoint, but I'm just telling you, like, I used them, and that's the one. That's the one where I'm not embarrassed to tell my mom I paid $300 for a transaction. You know, and she's on Solana. She's got NFTs.
And once people play around with NFTs, then they'll start looking at DeFi and sort of what I think. NFTs really sort of, they have meaning, right? Like, people are really able to attach themselves to their NFTs, and you're not able to do that with DeFi. DeFi is more of a tool to use, and it doesn't have like direct emotional meaning to you. So people will come in, they'll connect with NFTs on Solana, and then hopefully start using DeFi protocols, and we'll all make it, right? That's the goal.
And I mean, I think that's where a lot of these blockchains, even Solana, was really getting their start, their claim to fame, was in the DeFi sector.
Of course.
Solana, I mean, we still see it like today. The amount of capital, just USDC, that is leaving Ethereum through the wormhole to get to Solana is staggering.
I haven't looked at that metric. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they Wormhole tweeted about it like this week. They showed a chart. It was unbelievable, and it was just this mass exodus of capital from all of these other chains into Solana. So I mean, and Solana's got like I forgot the last time I checked, it was like $12 billion of TVL locked and stuff. It was phenomenal, the amount of growth that Solana had in a short amount of time. All in the DeFi sector. But what you said was very, very important, and that's that NFTs are personal.
Yes.
And this is what drives the human reaction. This is what drives this to be more than an investment. I mean, for a lot of people, especially what we're seeing out there on Twitter today, is it was nothing more than an investment to a lot of people.
Yeah.
They just wanted to flip and get out. But this circles back all the way back to our very first talk. And that's that the price dips that are happening right now, that just gave way for the people who wanted an emotional connection to this project and this NFT.
Yes.
And this is actually a humongous opportunity for people to get in and then just go, I made it. I'm in.
I'll sit back and that's sort of when the next wave of accumulation happens, and then hopefully we see some things start going in a more favorable direction, right?
Yeah. And again, I mean, that's not just the geckos. This is every project is going through this right now.
Even the SMB, I noticed they were around 100 on the floor, and I didn't think that would ever happen again.
But again, like, a lot of people are really worried about this, and to me, this is actually a really good thing. Like, I
see that, and for us, you can see that with, like we mentioned earlier, the all-time high of unique holders. So there are definitely people taking advantage of it on our side.
Yep, so. That's exactly it. That's my point. Is regardless of the project, but especially the geckos at their all-time high of unique holders, like, these are people who have waited for their chance, and they're in now. They're vibing. They're building the community, and that's how you know that when I say we're going to make it, I actually mean it. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I believe you.
So that'll wrap up this conversation, I think. This was a fantastic conversation. And again, I can't thank you enough for coming on, for all that you've done for your community, for Solana and the NFT space. You guys are builders. I believe in people who build, and I believe in people who innovate. It sounds like you guys have not taken your foot off the gas at all. In fact, you just are releasing and dropping this amazing idea and content that gets me very, very, very excited. So,
Thanks, Knox. We're super excited as well, and it's been a great honor to be on your show, and hope to do it again soon.
yes, absolutely. So, to y'all who are listening, make sure you check out Galactic Gecko's Twitter, Discord, their website. They got their own marketplace, which you can get to on their website. Partnered with Magic Eden. It's really, really cool and seamless. So make sure you guys go check that out, and we'll catch you in the next one.